So it wasn't until I switched to my mission is bringing bread back to your table, to my table, to your table, to the tables of all of our community. That resonated much better than I make sourdough bread is $12. Buy my bread is really good, right? So I switched my messaging to my why is I have a mission.
Mhm.
I want you to be part of my mission. And people feel excited to be part of that mission.
Welcome to the Breadwinner Podcast. This is the show for sourdough microbakery owners who are building a sustainable, successful, profitable business from their home. If you are already in business or if you're dreaming of starting one, this is the place for you. I'm your host, Caroline Bauer. I own a successful in-home sourdough bakery, and I am here to share everything I've learned that works and that doesn't, plus everything that I'm researching along the way so we can build thriving businesses together. Welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinner Podcast. It's Caroline here, and I am so excited for today's conversation. Today, we get to chat with someone who I have been getting to know as a microbakery friend over the last few months. And so today she is on. She has so much expertise and vision. So Maria Baradel is the owner of a thriving microbakery in Dallas, in Texas. And she's one of the bakers who has popularized and made accessible the 2-loaf pan method. So you may have seen her showing how you can bake so many more loaves at a time in your home oven using the loaf pans. And so now she spends a lot of her time helping others launch and grow their home bakeries. And Maria, I just love that you're doing this. I think we both identified kind of the gap in the market around the same time, that there's just not enough resources for people who want to run their sourdough microbakery from home. And so I am super excited about what you're sharing. I would love to turn it over to you. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're up to. And then let's talk about messaging and talking about growing your bakery and reaching the right people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Caroline. I loved your podcast and I love what you're doing. I agree with you. There are a lot of, all of us are really online on social media. We spend a lot of time there. And yes, lots of us are putting content out there, but it's really nice to have like all of that put together within the resources like in your podcast or like ebooks or a course. I think that there is a lot of value on giving people all of the resources that they need to launch and to thrive in
Mm.
this having a micro bakery. And yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about myself and for your listeners that might not know me. So my name is Maria. Hi, and I own a micro bakery here in Dallas, Texas. And yeah, so the way I started is that I just fell in love with sourdough like all of us, right? And I have a family of 7. I have 5 kids, and I was making a lot of bread because we do eat a lot of bread. And but still, I wanted to like practice so much more that I was just making so much bread, more than we could actually eat. So I started gifting it like all of us do, right? And my neighbors and friends were like, "Can I buy it?" So that's how I started selling my sourdough. And it quickly, my bakery grew really quickly. And I think it's because of my marketing background, because and the way I think messaging really helped me a lot. And it's something that I like to help other bakers with. And so that's when I realized that I needed to increase how much I was baking at once because, again, I'm a busy mom of 5. So I could spend all day in the kitchen. So that's when I started experimenting with my oven, my home oven. And I found out about this way that we could bake 12 loaves of bread at once in one oven. And I have a double wall oven, so I could bake 24 at once. And that was just way better than buying a $9,000 bread oven that they are dreamy. I do still want one, but $9,000 is a lot. So yeah, so that's how I came up with the two-pan method of baking sourdough bread. And ever since I started posting about that, other bakers have come to me like to ask about how could they launch and run their bakeries. So that's what I'm focusing on right now.
That's wonderful. And you have just gone all in because you just started. So we take a family trip to Dallas every spring break in March. And I think it was around March when we were up there and I was looking for a bakery. And I think one of your very early posts is one that came up when you had not started teaching on the business side, but you were just starting to sell bread.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started in February and I didn't open my Instagram account until March. And I was just posting from my personal account. And because I really didn't know how big I wanted to get. And that's actually something that I would like to touch on with you. And so I was just posting from my personal account. And then a lot of us do. And then I opened my business account in March because a customer was like, I love it. I want to tag you, but your account is private. So I'm like, okay, I'll create one.
That's so fun. I got to see one of your very first posts. I feel like an OG.
Oh, you're the OG.
That's great. I love that. So it just snowballed. You grew in a way that you probably didn't see yourself growing. Do you want to talk a little bit about, like you just touched on, kind of
Yeah,
size, and then we can talk about messaging and how to connect with your audience?
yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about is like how give advice to people on if someone who's just starting will ask me like what is some advice that you could give me? I think I will start with two things. Number one is start with what you have. And that's something that I'm really big on. Like I figured out a way to use my home oven because I didn't want to invest on that big equipment, right? And so that's actually something that helped me grow the two-pan method. So figuring that out. And then also, right now, I'm talking about the mixer, for example. I think that a lot of people think that they want to grow their business and they're going to need a big mixer. And so I thought the same thing. And at that point, I was like, my goal is to make 100 loaves of bread every week. And I feel like at that point, I'm going to be happy.
Mhm.
And I got to that point. I bought my mixer, right? It's a big mixer that helps me make 25 in one batch. And I got to that point and I was the opposite of happy. It was too much for me. And so that's like the other advice I want to give bakers is think about your real capacity is going to
Mhm.
be your physical, mental, and emotional capacity because we all want to grow, right? We all want to grow, but do I really want to be that big every single week? If you are single or if you just have one or two kids, maybe that will work fine. But for my family, it just didn't because I have 5 kids.
Mhm.
So start with what you have. There are a lot of resources out there that you can use to uh, start your business really affordably. For example, one thing that I've been recommending is you can use things from Temu, for example. That is a platform that has a lot of things like really affordable prices. And also like from even the dollar store, you can use like their baskets or their cheesecloth. Just start with what you have at home, your oven, and like affordable items, and then think about what your real capacity is going to be. That will be my two pieces of advice that I will give.
That's so practical. And it's
Yeah.
so easy to see all the other bakers and think that we need to have all of the equipment that they have. We have to have 100 Banneton baskets or whatever we see other people have. But also we don't see that they have been maybe baking for a year or two and have grown to that point also.
Right. Slowly.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I love that you're sharing that. We can
Yeah.
start small, start and keep our capacity low and grow as the demand increases or strategically and wisely.
Right. And in my case, the demand is there. Like
Mhm.
I could be baking 200 loaves a week and I just can't. So even if the demand increases, like you have to be true to what you can do. And so that's actually one of the other reasons why I want to teach other bakers how to start, because I'm like, please, I need another baker around me so that we can maybe work together and start my community.
I love
And
that
and on
mention.
almost, I wanted to touch on that too, because it is so easy when you're starting to see like that nice aesthetic oven and all those bannetons like you were saying, and like the big mixer, and it's I want to have that. It looks so good. It's going to make me look legit. But no, you can do it without that. Okay. Don't fall on the trap. Like you're going to be much happier if you don't have those big, I don't want to say happier, because I like, if you want to do it that way, that's fine. That's totally, that's a path that you are choosing, and it could work out for you. But I like not having the big bills every month that I have to worry about. And so I can focus on other things. I can take a break. I can, if I need to, if I burn out, or if I just can't because I have a sick kid or something, and I don't feel the pressure of those bills, that equipment that I have to pay.
Mhm. Yeah, that is so wise. Really smart. I'm so glad you shared that.
Absolutely. It's just easy to look at other bakers and feel like I need to be there. And just take your time. And family is more important. And a lot of us are moms, or I guess some dads too. And just be present and grow slow,
Mhm.
and success will come.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so true. And everyone's goal for their bakery is different. I went into it and I needed a full-time job. And so when you look at my capacity, that's because I am working full-time hours on purpose. That's the choice I've
Right.
made. But plenty of bakers want to cover dance lessons or pay off some debt. And you do not need to compare yourself to the full-time baker, and just stay in the lane that you're in, that you need to be in.
Exactly. And that's great because, yeah, when I started, I had just lost my job, or a few months earlier. And that's actually one of the reasons why I started making sourdough just like for myself, is that I was in a kind of a bad headspace after losing my job. And really, sourdough was one of the things that got me out of bed. I gotta feed my starter. I have a loaf that needs to be all the uh, cold folds, and I need to bake it, etc. And it got me really into like hyper fixated in learning all there is to learn about sourdough. So I love that I was able to find this when I lost my job, and I first saw it like, wow, I could really replace my income with that. But then, yeah, I'm like, these five kids, I don't know if I can actually do this like full time. But
Right.
now what I'm doing is I bake some, and then I'm dedicating a lot of my time to help other bakers. And so I do like that balance. And some bakers might want to do markets, and markets are like a big deal. And some bakers might want to do it from their home, but some bakers might not like the idea of having people pick up bread from your house. So it can be so different for everybody.
That's so true. There are so many ways to make it work
Yeah.
and make it serve your life. I'm glad that this wasn't part of our outline or our conversation, but I'm glad that you started that, because it is so important. So you have made a lot of choices as you've grown your bakery to make sure that it is continuing to serve you, and to pull back when you need to, and to lean into the serving the community side of it as well. So what I really would love to hear from you is about messaging, and you've talked about your marketing expertise. So when you talk about messaging, what does that mean,
Yeah.
firstly? And then why is it so important for us in as we are growing our business?
Yeah, absolutely. Messaging is important for when you're launching, and as you are wanting to scale and you want to grow your customer base. And when you want to even go into doing other things, like for example, if right now you're baking, but then you want to go into selling workshops and other things, it's just so important. And a lot of times I see people, and don't get me wrong, I've even done this myself because I'm a marketer, but it's just like the easy thing to say and do is say, I have good bread. I make great bread. It's $12, and everybody loves it. Buy my bread, right? I see a lot of that out there, like posts that just say, "Our bread is so good. You're going to love it. It's available on Thursday." Like that is great, but that's not going to really grow your business in the way you want. So I think that I like to share some ideas on how you can position your messaging so that it resonates with your audience. So I have a list here. The first thing that I will say is start with why, and that is so important because yeah, at first I was like that. Buy my bread is so good. Look at my reviews, people like it. But it wasn't until I changed to there was this business coach friend of mine that we were just chatting about growing my business. And she was like, "So why are you selling sourdough?" And I'm like, "Well, because and I told her all day the thing about losing my job and all of that. And she's, "Yeah, but why?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, what do you mean?" And so shared with me this video of Simon. I don't want to murder his last name, but I might maybe share it with you so you can share it with other people. On Start with Why. It's about like how Apple, for example, their messaging is they are selling computers and phones just like other companies, but their messaging is so much better, and it's because they are not like, this is the best computer, buy it from us. They are like, this is going to transform your life, basically. So the way they talk about it is so much better. So it wasn't until I switched to my mission is bringing bread back to your table, to my table, to your table, to the tables of all of our community. That resonated much better than I make sourdough bread is $12. Buy my bread is really good, right? So I switched my messaging to my why is I have a mission. I want you to be part of my mission. And people feel excited to be part of that mission. Like she wants to bring bread back. I'm going to help her. And I will tell people like my mission is to bring bread back. And I want you to help me. And people like to be part of something. So I think that starting with why is really important. And then the other thing is making your customer the hero. So it's not about you and your bread is so good and it has all these nice and organic ingredients. It's not about you and your bread. Make the customer the hero. So be everybody's favorite when you bring a loaf of bread home. And you can say things like that, and people are like, yeah, I want to be everybody's favorite mom for dinner or for school lunches, or everybody's favorite friend when you bring some bread with a charcuterie board to the gathering, right? So making the customer the hero, I think that's another tip. Then the other one will be addressing the pain point. And so if you could go like, have you ever, if you're, for example, selling a workshop, you could say, have you ever tried to make sourdough and fail? Or try to make a sourdough starter and failed? I can help you. I can help you overcome that, right? And I can help you. I'm gonna teach you, etc. Right? So if you address their pain point, or for example, with bread, dinners are hectic, but if you had bread, then you can make all these different kinds of sandwiches. Like you can make a different sandwich every evening, right? Or easy, quick lunches. I'm addressing like something like people don't have time to even grab a nice lunch, like a difficult lunch. A sandwich is always so quick. I like easy but nutritious lunches for your kids at school. So you're addressing like those pain points that people might be thinking about. That's a good thing. Then what else? Also touch on the emotional core of your audience. And I think that's so important. When I like make them feel something. And so one of the things that I really like to do this is, for example, I will say, if I'm talking about a workshop that I'm selling, a starter is a family heirloom that can be passed down from generation to generation, right? So I'm like making people want to have a sourdough starter. And they might not even realize that they wanted that. But then they're like, oh, that's nice to pass down a family heirloom that started in my kitchen. So touch that core, and people are more likely to see. And also, for example, like greet your family with the smell of fresh baked bread. So now you're not just saying, I have good bread, buy it. You're saying, like, I want you to greet your family with the smell of fresh baked bread. And people can imagine that. That's another tip. People imagine what it is that you're selling. The other one is creating urgency and FOMO. And so making sure that you're saying, and this is important when you're launching, but really just every week that you're selling bread. So you'll be, if when you're launching, one of the things that I say is send a message to a group of people and say, hey, you can send them your messaging, whatever it is, about launching your business, and sell a few of them. And then you go to another expanded group of people and you say, hey guys, I'm launching my business and I already sold some. So make sure that you grab some before they sell out. And so then you sell a bunch more. And then you send it to an expanded audience. So for example, this could look like you send it to your best friends and your family, and then you send it to the text group of moms that you are part of, and then you send it to the Facebook community uh, group. Okay. So by the time a lot of people just launch that way, they just send it to like the greatest amount of people. And so they don't have anything to say to create that FOMO. But if by the time you get to that point, you already sold most of the bread, and you say, hey guys, I'm launching my business and I literally just launched, but I already sold a lot of them and I only have this many left, then people want to be part of that and they are going to buy from you that time, and then if they missed out, then you can use that the following week and be like, I launched my business last week, but it's sold out. So here is your chance to buy from me now. And then you can use that every week as well. So make sure that you create that urgency and that FOMO. And then I don't know if you want me to pause so that we can chat, or you want me to just go down my list.
I love the list. You can finish, and then I'm going to come back and ask you a couple of questions about things that have jumped out to me.
Okay, perfect. So, and I have, I think, like three more. Okay. Another one will be focus on benefits and not features. So a lot of people will say, my bread has organic ingredients. So instead of saying that, say, nourish your body with our bread that's made with organic ingredients. So you're focusing on the benefit, which is the nourishment, right? So you can try to use that with different aspects, but yeah, focus on the benefits and not the features. And then make it personal and relatable. You can say something like, your favorite sourdough is just a click away from my kitchen to yours. So look at how you just said it, like your favorite is just a click away, super easy, and it comes from my kitchen to yours. So you are making it so personal, so relatable, and people are like, oh yeah, I want that. I want it. It's easy and it's mine and it's my favorite. You just said it. Then the other point is leverage social proof. And that's something super important. Always share the reviews and make sure that you are asking. A lot of people don't even ask. They are like afraid to ask for reviews or for feedback. I think that even when you're starting, it's very important to ask for feedback, to make sure that your products are good and they are like that people are liking them. And if they have something different that they will do, maybe about your drop situation, like your pickup, or always as feedback, like how did pickup go? How did the ordering process go for you? And how was the bread? So asking for feedback is super important, but then also using the reviews that you get after people buy uh, and add those to all of your posts and all of your messaging. That's super important. And lastly, your credentials, making yourself sound important. And this was so great because so whenever I started baking in the loaf pans, a lot of people were making the bowl. I think I said that right. And they were like, so how do you switch your customers from one thing to the other? Like, how do you tell them? And I'm like, I really didn't tell them. I just did it. And then I told them, I'm switching to this shape, and I think you're going to love it because
Mhm.
my family loves it this way, and I think you're gonna love it because it's easier to store, it's easier to slice, it's easier to use for sandwiches, for going the toaster, etc. So I told them, and the truth is, they believe you because you are the expert. Okay, you are the bread expert. So you have to talk from that in that a place of authority, and people will believe you and will buy from you.
Mhm.
So that in terms of selling bread, but also if you're selling a workshop, then speaking also from that place of authority of I know what I'm doing. I have been baking sourdough for this long, and look at how beautiful my loaves are. So you're giving like that credibility and that authority. So people sign up for your workshop. If you haven't been baking for that long, if you can just say, I have been baking for my family 2 loaves per week. And even if it's only been a couple, like a couple months or something like that, you can spin it in a way that it sounds like a lot and it's important, and you know what.
Mhm. Mhm.
Dang, that's my name.
So good. That is just right in keeping with the heart of the show, which is just to give practical, actionable tools that people can take and apply to their business. I
Awesome.
love it. We have just a few more minutes, but I want to follow up just on a couple of those things. The very first one is with your starting with why. Do you have any really practical tips, just like a 1 minute idea on how to identify our unique why? Because yours is bringing back right back to the community. But for other people, it's going to be different. And that's what differentiates yourself. You is knowing
Yeah.
your why. How can people figure out what their why is?
Yeah, I think that you should just get really honest in grab a pen and paper and brainstorm, why am I doing this? And it took me a minute. Okay, I didn't come up with that. Like my friend just asked me and I came up with that. It really was an exercise. She asked me and I kept saying the wrong answer. It kept being very like feature based and not like that story. And I think that also make it more of like whenever you're thinking of your why, think of what is my brand story. And so you can maybe start with what was the beginning and where am I now? Where do I see myself being? And not take yourself through that journey, but also take your customer through that journey and maybe think of how you position that. So for different people, for you and I was after we want to replace our full-time income. For other people might be I got burnout at work, or I was a stay-at-home mom, but I needed something for myself, and go from there, take it from there.
I love that. So
Yeah.
just keep going deeper and deeper. Like you
Yes.
said, your friend asked you why and just kept asking you about why and
Yeah.
get down to the root of it. That's
Right.
so helpful. You mentioned just then, and then it circles back to one of your points of the benefits versus the features. And this is something I always struggle with when I'm trying to create or identify and articulate the value of something. How do we differentiate between features and benefits?
After you has that feature, right? So if you buy my bread, then what happens to your life? And think of it like big picture, not just like what happens to your mouth, but what happens to your life. And so it could be something like, I just made dinners easy for you. Like you could tell people that, like, I'm your dinner friend. I'm your school lunches friend. So it's that benefit, right? I'm helping you with easy dinners, easy lunch, easy meal. That's a feature, benefit that I'm thinking of, but also nourishing your body. So some people might be more into the health benefits. And I know a lot of people in our community come from like a health background, like they just know that sourdough is better, right? Because they might have been nurses or they might have been in the fitness community. So maybe that's the spin they want to give it. Like nourishing your body is healthy for you. If you give me a few more minutes, I'll think of other ideas. But no, you can also just go to. I use ChatGPT all the time, and I'm not saying have ChatGPT write your messaging because people can tell and like, please don't do that. But you can use it to give you ideas. So you can start by like entering in there, hey, these are the features that I think of for my bread. Help me think of benefits that go with it. And this is the style that I'm going for. Give me some benefits that I can speak about during my messaging.
Mm. That's so helpful. Very
Yeah,
good. So it could be for someone like myself who has a gluten sensitivity, the feature is long fermented, but that means that I can finally eat good bread again.
exactly. And how that makes you feel too,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that you were given that, like that second chance, like that ability, I don't know, of
Mm.
being able to have bread again.
That's so helpful. Thank you. The final kind of follow up on your list is your last one. You said make yourself sound important, position yourself as the authority. I think we struggle with this as women sometimes. Do you
Yes.
have any like practical tips on getting past that feeling that we need to like be humble and be small and diminish ourselves?
Yeah.
But really to succeed and to serve people, we need to step out of that and own our voice. And how do we do that?
That's a hard one
Mhm.
because I feel like now we're talking about a lot of self uh, work, like a lot of work that would need to be done in the background there.
Mhm.
And that's a good point because I do think that I have a lot of confidence in some way, but at the same time, I struggle, for example, with my accent, right? And I thought that would keep me from growing because I thought that my message wouldn't get across as well. But then I would see others that had accents as well that
Mm.
were doing just fine in the sourdough community. And so I decided to give it a chance and put that behind. So I think that if you do that and then also just give it a try. And here's the thing, it's never going to be right the first time. Okay, so your messaging is not gonna be spot on the first time, even if you follow all of these advice. Just keep on. Even if you look back at my very early post, you can tell the work that had got like all the internal work and all the learning. I even watch other people's contents and I learn from that. And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Let me try that. So just keep on trying. And in terms of the authority and the credibility, you can just know that you can give that to yourself. Give permission to yourself to do that for yourself. So, for example, I started in the same place that everybody, and I found something which everybody can do. It doesn't have to be the same thing that I found that made me important, right? It was like finding out about this method of baking a lot involved. And I think that everybody can have like their own thing. There are like so many. I know of another girl who was talking about when she first started, she was like the open bake queen. And like another one might be like the workshop queen, and another one might be like the market queen. There is so much like opportunity and so many topics out there that you can be talking about. So find your like whatever you think is going to be your niche and give yourself permission to take it from there and to say, I am good at this. I'm going to be talking about this.
Mhm. I love that. That is so helpful and insightful. And I think hopefully a lot of people sit down with a notebook and a pen and just spend some time getting really honest and practicing that confidence because it's a process. It doesn't come overnight.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we will wind down here. I have one question, and if you don't have a quick answer to this and you want to skip it, I can edit it out. But is there anything that you would like to the chance to share with our listeners that maybe doesn't fit in with the content that you share in social media? Maybe it's too long or just doesn't quite fit in your pillars, but something that you wish that you had a place to share with the sourdough microbaker community?
Oh gosh, that's a good one because yeah, I have a lot of ideas, but yeah, and especially because I watch a lot of content. Maybe I'll go with this. So I watch a lot of content from other communities, and I think that's something that's important for everybody to do. And that's something that will help you differentiate yourself. Is what's special for you. So some people really like reading besides making sourdough bread. Like your whole personality doesn't have to be sourdough bread. Okay? So if for me it was plants, and other people they are really into reading or really they are very religious or different things, right? So maybe watch content from those creators in those other communities and seek inspiration from that. So a lot of
Mhm.
time you see something that I might have posted. I actually got that idea from a video that I saw someone talking about their plants or like their plant collection or their plant business, etc. Because my whole thing is like leaf and loaf. I love house plants and I love bread, right? So just find that other thing that might be part of your identity and draw inspiration from that to help you market your bakery. That work? Did that answer the question?
Totally. I love that. That's so smart because that also gets you out of the vacuum of just seeing all of the people doing the same thing over and over. That's
Exactly.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Maria, this has been delightful. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I'm so glad we got to chat. For anyone who wants to learn from you, can you let us know where they can find you, and if you have anything that any resources available or coming that you'd like to share about?
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. I have an ebook called How to Launch, Run, and Market Your Home Bakery. And I am now, that's been really successful. I saw a lot of copies on that, and now I'm taking that and turning it into a course. So I'm expanding that into and making sure that I'm giving you all bakers all of the tools they need to launch and to take it. What else is there for them once they are like, for example, for me, hit your capacity baking, how else could you monetize? And I think so. One of the things that I'm doing is that I'm going to be including a lot of recipes because I want people not to just tell you how you can launch, but like a lot of times people want to start, but they don't know if the recipe is good or like even what recipes to use. So I want to give you already all of my recipes will be included, but I'm also going to be giving you resources on how to launch your very own digital products, like my ebook, for example. Like you can do that too, and other bakers will do that too. Launch their own ebooks, and I'm going to make sure that I'm giving you the tools so that you can monetize right away. So some of them will be like ready to go, ready to resell. So that course is going to be launching in January, and it's called Bakery Business School. So I'm really excited about that. So stay tuned. And you
That
can find
sounds
me on
so vibrant.
yeah, and you can find me. You were asking where people can find me. Leaf and Love Co. My handle on Instagram, and I think that the from there, if you click my bio, you can go to all my links and find me everywhere.
Perfect. I'll put that handle down in the show notes too. And this episode is going live in January. So the timing will be really nice for people who are ready to jump in and learn from your course. Super excited about that. All right, Maria, this has been wonderful. To those of you listening, make sure that you screenshot the show, tag me, Caroline Bauer _sourdough, and tag Maria at Leaf and Loaf Co. so we can see where you're listening from and we can all connect together. As always, I will be back soon with another episode, but until then, happy baking. All right. Thank you.